All right, well, here we are tonight on the grounds of the MacArthur Museum. It's an old military museum. It was based in the Civil War time frame. The Union occupied this area. It kind of bounced back and forth between Union and the Confederacy occupying it. The octagon tower here is one of the original intact pieces. They used it for keeping the weapons and the ammunition, the arsenal type holding area here. Within the museum, though, you have some of the old Jeep and a lot of Douglas MacArthur's artifacts in here as well. There was a statue back here that we got on film for the first human dissection within the state of Arkansas. David Dodd was executed over here for, they thought that he was conspiring against the Union. When they captured him, he had Morse code letters written out. But he didn't tell anybody, he wouldn't tell who they were for, who they were going to. He wouldn't give up any of that information. So the Union took that as him trying to spread information about their whereabouts and what they had within these grounds, and they executed him. They hung him. And there's a lot of speculation dealing with it. He's supposed to be hung there for a little over 5 minutes because they messed up on the length of the rope when they hung him, and his tiptoes were dragging the ground. So he was able to delay his own death, basically. And I think about 500 yards from us is his burial place in the cemetery that's here within the city of Little Rock as well. So hopefully tonight, within this investigation that we have, hopefully we get a visit from David. Hopefully we get a visit from a few other people that I've researched and tried to find out about. And I suppose later on tonight we'll see.
We entered the building at 6 p.m. Before the investigation began, we set up our equipment. We were then able to get a tour of the location to see where the hot spots were and some more in-depth history of the building.
This little building right here is the dead house. This is where they stored the dead until they could soften the ground. Because we have diaries that showed for every day in March for like 1863 and it snowed 4 or 5 inches on these grounds. The reason the building was built was because we were a stop on the Trail of Tears, and thousands of Indians were coming through here along the Trail of Tears. They would stop in Little Rock to go north. Governor Conway saw all the Indians, became frightened, and asked the government to build him an army base and an arsenal to protect the citizens. So he built this base with 25 other buildings and the arsenal. It was a working army base from 1840 to 1893. This is where this hallway is dedicated to the women who have been meeting in this building since 1893. They still meet in the building today. They meet the second and fourth Tuesday of every month from October to April, because when they started meeting, this building didn't have air conditioning and their children were in school. So they only met during those months because usually during the summer they travel to Europe and such places. And it was so hot you couldn't be in this building. And so this hallway is dedicated to that club. This club pretty much kept the building going and alive from 1893 to 1929. They've gotten a lot of great images on this staircase. And then this is the second floor of the tower. And this is a real flag from the second Arkansas volunteer. Isn't it beautiful? It's had very little work done to it. They actually didn't do anything but put it on a white sheet and lay it out flat. My son won't go up here anymore.
Really?
My 16-year-old, he'll be 17 soon. He went up here with, he just maybe turned 13 maybe, and he had gone up here with Arkansas ghost catchers, and he just wanted to see what it was all about. He went up there. And he spends 90% of his time in this building. Wow. He went up there, and within 5 minutes of being up there, he was ill. I mean, he was sick. He's like, he came running down the stairs, came down to me in my office. He's like, Mom, I got up there and I started getting dizzy. I felt sick to my stomach. The hair stood up on my neck and my arms. He goes, Mom, I had to get out of there. And so he came, he wouldn't go. He doesn't like going up there.
Besides the getting sick, is there anything else up here that's odd?
I mean, we have a lot of people come up here and get great EVPs. I mean, and people come up here and feel sick. And I mean, this is the best room up here. And from day one, when I started working here, I always feel like someone's watching me drive away to make sure that I get away safely.
That's awesome.
And it's been every day like that from day one. And I always stop and turn around and look.
No, you can't find me.
And I can't see anyone, but I feel like that same look when you're driving away from home and your mother was watching
Like
you
a
leave.
warm feeling.
Yes, and I've gotten that feeling from day one from being here.
That's awesome.
Ever,
Do you
ever.
think it's haunted?
I think it may have it may have its spirits, it may have its stories. I don't know. I've heard evidence that tells me otherwise. But I think it's all up to, I need more evidence. Because this is a 171-year-old building. The building breathes, it moves, it creaks, it shifts, we have difficult temperature, we have a horrible air conditioning system. But some of the evidence I've seen and heard, I can't dispute it scientifically.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do think this building has some of its own character and some of its own spirits here.
That being said, we started in the tower building. Since a lot of activity happens in this particular room, we decided to set up our static camera here. We did a few EVP sessions, however, because of the air conditioning being so loud, we didn't have much luck finding anything that was audible. Knowing that the audio was going to be harder to decipher than the video evidence, we set up a flashlight with old bullets found from a Civil War battlefield as trigger objects. Although we asked the spirits to remove the bullets, we got a different response. After 2 hours and 30 minutes of no movement or activity of any kind, our flashlight began to pulsate. We counted 10 drawn-out pulses altogether. It's interesting to note that the flashlight was used for 4 hours after that and had no further issues. We have no explanation as to why the flashlight would dim. This is a push-button flashlight, meaning that the flashlight is either on or off. There is no setting to make the flashlight beam dimmer or brighter. Could this be the spirit in the tower trying to use our flashlight's energy so that it could move the bullets? In this clip, we were having another EVP session in the ballroom with the piano. We heard a loud dragging noise that seemed to be coming from the room across the hall. After reviewing the footage, we noticed that not only did we catch the dragging noise, but also a faint sound of what appears to be a man singing right before the dragging noise begins. We were now in the Jeep room performing an EVP session. After about 10 minutes of asking questions, we suddenly heard the motion detector that was set up on the staircase alarming.
Was that a thing? Was that a motion detector?
As you can see, we are all three in the same room, so the motion detector was not set off by any of us. We had also done some extensive testing on the motion detector to see how sensitive it was. The alarm is not set off by flashlights or IR lights. What's even more interesting is that the motion detector was only a room away from us, but yet it sounded like it was 2 or 3 rooms away from us. This is the only motion detector we had set up at the time. This brings us to another piece of footage.
What is that?
Is that not the camera?
Not this camera. And it's not that doorbell thing. And Lana's upstairs. She's in the very top.
We noticed throughout the night that the smoke alarms were beeping because they had low batteries. But we never heard 3 beeps in a row. Only 1 beep every 20 minutes or so. The fact that we heard 3 beeps in a row was a little odd. We also know that these beeps were not from our motion detector that we had placed on the staircase, as the motion detector has a very distinct chime. Here are a couple of EVPs we captured. This clip is Sunny on the staircase. As she is leaving, you can hear an inaudible sound. This particular clip is the best piece of audio that we documented during our investigation. As Sunny is closing the door to the bathroom, you can clearly hear someone whistling in the background. We all checked with one another to see if any of us had whistled, but none of us whistled while we were inside the building. Since you can hear the reverb from the whistle, you can tell that it is coming from within the building, not outside. Altogether, our team investigated for 7 hours at the museum. Although none of us had any personal experiences, the footage we captured speaks for itself. There is more than meets the eye to this old building. The paranormal is not something that can be called on cue. It is not something that can be duplicated or predicted. This is what keeps investigators like ourselves striving for answers. With the right conditions, anything is possible.
Well, that wraps up the MacArthur Museum here in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. Whether we got any evidence or not, on video or on sound, it was still an experience for all of us. It was an honor to be able to walk through a piece of natural history, let alone all the history that they have put into the museum. And until next time, I guess this is the Macabre Squad signing off. We'll see you again.